Hello everybody, this is Nitro005 here, and today I want to talk about MvM and the toxic player base. So, it's no surprise when we're talking about MvM that there's toxic players. It's true. I'm not gonna lie to you, the game is full of them. As much people like to say I don't run into them much, I have run into plenty of players who just don't give any respect to any other living soul except themselves, it seems. And it is utterly ridiculous how some of these players are. But I'm going to be going into detail on how I think a lot of this toxicity, which is the word I'm be using for this, came into MvM. So it's gonna start with what I configured to be the history. So this might not be accurate whatsoever. Just gonna be 100% honest here. It's probably not gonna be accurate whatsoever. It could be, I don't know. I haven't been playing Team Fortress 2 for more than a year. And, well, a little over a year, I should say. And, MvM even shorter because I started getting into it about 2 months into my Team Fortress. So by no means do I know the history of MvM. But if I was to take a guess at it, it started off like this. MvM used to be just like normal casual Team Fortress 2. Just fun, happy times, people joking, trying to beat the robots, even the paid version. And then pretty much what happened was people started making strats and stuff because, you know, they want to beat it efficiently, especially for a paid game mode like this, which is understandable. You're going to want to beat it efficiently rather than, you know, sitting there trying to beat something and not actually beat it. And this became known among the, you know, the veteran players that have been playing MvM. Well, this came into the issue that this stuff started getting set in stone, but there's no tutorials out there. Which, again, I'm working on. I want to make tutorials for this stuff because I know there's no tutorials out on this stuff. They just expect people to know this, which is part of the problem. Right there. They're literally expecting people to know these strats right off the back and want them to, like, watch tutorials when half the tutorials show not even a tenth of what's expected in actual MvM. It's really ridiculous, in my opinion. But that's pretty much what it is. And then, as I said, the newer players are supposed to know this, and like they're told to watch tutorials. And still today, there's no videos of it, and that's pretty much where toxicity comes into place. So now let's get more into the toxicity cycle that I was talking about. So this cycle usually starts off with a newer player, which should be pretty obvious. And this cycle, of course, has been in place for a while, as far as I can tell. Again, I've only been playing this for less than a year, maybe coming up on a year here soon. But as far as I know, it's definitely been here for quite some time. The new player has to then face the hardships of learning through the toxic player and the nice players that they meet. And they pretty much have a triple split road. We're going to go up one of the threads, which they can either become a know-it-all, which is one of the threads, or they can go to the other side where they hang on to their sanity and stay decently nice, or they just leave MvM completely because they don't want to deal with the toxic player base. So that's pretty much the starting point of MvM. So what if they become know-it-alls? Know-it-alls don't listen to anyone, and they stick to what they believe is correct. They don't care if something else is actually correct because they're so sick of being thrown around from the toxic players that they just stick to what they know, and they just stay to what they know because they're sick of getting yelled at for not knowing, so they don't listen. And that's not a good solution, but I understand it, because I used to be one of these people. I got sick of being yelled at by high tourismen being so toxic to me that I just became a know-it-all and said, screw this, I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna listen to them. Even when I was spoken nicely to, I didn't listen. And it ended up to an embarrassing moment where I just ended up leaving. Yeah. So, yeah. And then, you know, the people who continue being nice usually end up learning well through all the hardships and learn to deal with toxic players pretty well. Whether that be through muting, leaving, ignoring, etc., whatever. They just have their own little way of dealing with the toxic players. Now, of course, this isn't 100% true, and I'll get into that right now. So, nicer high tourismen when they get to meet up with know-it-alls. Again, keep in mind, know-it-alls are lower tourismen in this case. This can end up causing the nicer players to become toxic themselves. After getting so many of these know-it-alls and dealing with them so many damn times, they end up saying, okay, this is enough, I'm sick of trying to help people. No one wants to listen to me, so what's the point of trying to help anyways? And they end up becoming jerks too, thinking they're gonna listen like that, and that doesn't help at all either, because no one listens to when you're a jerk. They start trying to fight back. It's true. And that's pretty much that. Or the player quits in general. The nice player just quits. They're sick of dealing with the toxic players and the know-it-alls, and they just say, you know what, MvM isn't for me. I'm just gonna go back to casual and stay there. It's pretty much what it is. In the rare case that people get this, tourismen with nicer players relatively stay nice. I mean, unless something offsets them, but I don't know really what would. They just usually stay nice, and that's that. So, nice tourismen with other toxic tourismen. Again, this is the same thing. They usually end up quitting because of the other toxic tourismen, or they become toxic themselves. Or they become a defensive tourisman. You know, they don't like it how they treat other players because they might have been treated that way, and they're like, no, I'm not dealing with this. And they're not dealing with it either. You can stop this. And that's how I became. But again, I was a know-it-all before all this happened, so my path was a tad bit different. I sort of broke the cycle and went my own way. And I'm happy that it sort of turned out that way, because I wouldn't want to be a toxic jerkwad, to be honest with you. So that's pretty much sums up the toxicity cycle in MvM. There really isn't much to it. If you come across these players, it's just what I call the bandwagon. It's what most people call it, actually. People follow this set pattern because they don't know any better. It's just normal. People have a hard time changing, and that is true. People don't know. 99% of the time, people don't know how to change. And that's really sad. People can't change for the better, and if they do change, it's usually ending up for the worse. And this is certainly true for MvM. This is, of course, isn't true for everyone. I can't say that every person in MvM falls under this cycle. As I said, I broke from it, so there's definitely not to say that there isn't others that have broken from the cycle like I have, and have learned, well, this is stupid, and became a nicer player, such as I did, you know, from a know-it-all, or they're toxic like, what am I doing with this? You know, I shouldn't be like this. I should be nicer. But, again, I can't do that. That's up for you to judge. So, what are some solutions when dealing with the toxic player base in MvM? Well, one of them is reevaluate yourself. If you think other players are toxic, you should really reevaluate what type of player you are. Are you really one of those higher tourismen telling new players that they're idiots and don't know what they're doing? Or you know, if you're one of those, then that's probably you're the problem here. Or if you're a lower tourisman thinking you know everything in the game, unless you're like one of those people that reset their badge or whatnot, you know, you should probably look at what you really know and try to listen to the players, even the toxic players, as hard as that sounds. Listening to them is a pain in the butt, and I know this, but, you know, learn what you can from them and take what you think will be useful, even if they're going to be a jerk about it. Go with your friends. You know, if you don't want to pair up with a bunch of newbies or you don't want to pair up with a bunch of toxics, try to take your friends with you. I do it all the time. I always bring my friend Leon Turtle with me into games, and we have a great time. It's mainly what I do to avoid toxic players as best as I can. It takes up a slot in the MvM queue, so it prevents one more player from being toxic. Muting. You know, this is a good choice. If you're going to mute someone, though, I do recommend telling everyone that, hey, I'm muting this player. I don't like his attitude towards everyone. You might end up getting kicked for it, but for the bright side, at least you solved it like a decent human being and warned them. If you get kicked, I mean, oh well, there's nothing you can do about that. Big wah, they were all toxic, that means, and that's that. And the last one is simply just leaving the server where the toxic players are or the newbies are. You don't want to be with a bunch of newbies, leave. Requeue. As much of a pain that butt is, do it. You don't have to sit there and struggle with them. And same goes for the new players. If you don't want to deal with toxic players, you don't have to sit there and play with them. You can leave and try to requeue. As much of a pain that butt is. I've done it several times too when I don't want to deal with toxic players at all. So that's pretty much everything. Yeah, I really can't add too much more to this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, if there's stuff I can add, or, you know, things that I might have missed for the toxic cycle. Let me know. So, that's gonna be the video. If you liked it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you really enjoyed it. I try to upload weekly. I've been off schedule for a little bit, but I'm trying to get back on it. If you're really looking to keep up to date with my schedule and whatnot, I have a public Discord. I don't really like social media, but Discord is the best platform that I actually enjoy using. So if you're looking for a decent platform to keep up to date with what I'm doing, look into my Discord. I'll have a link to that in the description. If you don't have a Discord account, it's completely free to make. If you've made a YouTube account, you can obviously make a Discord account. Well, it requires an email address. And wada bing, wada boom, you're all set up, and I'll see you in there. If you really want to support the channel, though, and help me try to make this a career to where I can do more videos like this and other things, such as animation, which I do, I have a Patreon. I'll have a link to that in the description. Patreon members get exclusive content and rewards as well for being a member, depending on the amount of money you pay. Yes, you have to pay to become a Patreon member, but I completely appreciate it. But I definitely just appreciate getting a like on a video and new subscribers. So hit the bell and sub if you haven't, and that's the most I care about. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, leave no one behind, and I'll see you guys then.